This is my experiment with sorghum makgeolli. Here's the sorghum, Chao Susu from H Mart, Chao Susu. This video documents my experiment with sorghum. It didn't exactly work out as expected, so you can learn from my mistakes. Hopefully I can learn something too. You can compare this with my experiment with millet in my previous video. I found millet to be very annoying to work with, so small and hard. So I liked working with sorghum better, even if it didn't quite work out. Okay, so first I sort of washed the sorghum. A lot of residue. I didn't want to wash away too much. I didn't know what was important. So I rinsed it 3 times. I soaked it overnight. Next day, drained it. Then I thought it'd be more interesting taste if I toasted it. So I toasted it for 30 minutes at 350 degrees in the oven. Turns out it's going to stick on the bottom of the pan, so you have to mix it up. Pretty much every 5 minutes you should mix it with a spoon or something. After it was toasted for 30 minutes, I weighed it. So even though I had soaked it in water overnight, after toasting it, it weighed less than I started with, just slightly less. So I started off with 450 grams of sorghum. After soaking in water overnight and toasting, I ended up with 435 grams. So that's interesting. I don't know if that was counterproductive or not, doing that. And then I tried to grind the sorghum, make some kind of flour. I pulsed it for almost 5 minutes. Just ended up with a range of sizes. Didn't all turn into flour. So I'm using some rice flour, 150 grams of rice flour. Add the sorghum, ground sorghum, and 1 liter of water. I'm going to make a juk out of this. Never did this before. It turns out this makes a juk like concrete. So sticky. I cool that down. While it's cooling it down, I take my usual amount of Naruk, 90 grams, half a package of the yeast. Okay, now this stuff is so hard. Yeah, sort of difficult to move around, but I did what I could. It's very stiff now. It's like concrete in the jar. It's cooled down, and this really wore out my hand stirring this. Okay, but ended up with something that mixture of sizes. It is fermenting, so I was glad to see this. At least some of the sorghum has to be fermenting in here. You end up with a nice brownish bubbling mixture. Smells like dough, for sure. Smells like dough, and nice and bubbly. So this is the first stage of my cheongju. I think this is working out okay. Pretty bubbly and loud. So I stir this twice a day. On the second day, it still bubbling, still doing something, so that's good. I left it a little long in this stage. I waited till the 3rd day before I made godubap. Okay, so I'm going to make godubap, so I'm going to soak this brown sweet rice overnight. And I waited till day 3 to add it. I don't know if that was too late or not, but I waited till day 3. I steamed the brown sweet rice for 70 minutes. I thought that was enough. Maybe it wasn't. So it's hard steamed rice. Cool it down. Takes about 30 minutes. Now on day 4 and onward, I'm not stirring it. But unusual thing, now there's already a clearish layer at the top. So, and it's not very active, pretty quiet. Always listen to your brew. That's the best. That's even better than looking at it, because you can hear more bubbles than you can see. So by day 7, it still doesn't seem to be doing much. There's a few bubbles. So day 8, I'm going to bottle it, see what it's like. Did this work out or not? Okay, I'm just showing. I'm going to show you here the sanitizing and rinsing process. Okay, so straining. Put the whole thing in, straining it out. It's a brownish color. I ended up with so much lees. This is a problem. About 900 grams of lees. Normally with the recipe I have 300 grams. So that definitely indicates a problem. I could feel a lot of the rice grains. So that basically means that the brown sweet rice didn't participate in the fermentation. Maybe I didn't cook it long enough. Maybe I added it at too hot a temperature. Maybe sunlight got on the jar. I don't know. I still ended up with alcohol from the first stage of fermentation. So this is some kind of sorghum makgeolli, but it was sort of a waste having the brown sweet rice in there. It didn't do much. The taste was sort of strange. So that's disappointing. So bottling it, I ended up with less than 1.5 liters. So one thing I learned is that these other grains, millet and sorghum, are a lot harder to deal with in terms of fermentation. Realized maybe there's a reason that the farmer switched over from the other grains to the white rice. Maybe that was a lot easier for the yeast to digest, or the root to deal with, easier to cook, less fuss with grinding it. So I'm going to, for my next few batches, I'm going to go back to just rice, working with rice and firm up my recipes, try a few different things. So it was interesting trying to make multigrain makgeolli, but I'm going to go back to rice now. So that's what I learned, and thank you for watching.